Alright, so it's been a while since my last upload, and in that time, I have released my rally game. Now, I do want to start this off by saying that I won't be able to update it for a while because my computer's kind of dead right now. So, yeah, I won't be able to do any bug fixes, but I think it should work. I don't see any reason why it's not. I've playtested it a good bunch. But yeah, my computer's kind of dead right now, so it'll be a while before I can update it or work on a new project. In that time, I do have uploads that I can do on my phone planned, but before I can do that, before I can get back to uploading normal content, it's going to be a while, and I won't be able to upload it as often when I finally do have my computer fixed. But yeah, let's cover what went wrong and essentially what went right with the creation of my rally game. Yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's start off with the planning bit of the game, as this is kind of what had me the most worried the entire time. Alright, so I initially planned for 5 to 10 tracks and 10 to 15 cars. The cars, I got about 12 done before I decided to move on and try to finish as many stages as possible. And that was the easiest part to finish, as I could make multiple pretty quickly. But I was not ready to make many tracks very fast. Yeah, the tracks took a lot longer than I initially expected, so I only got like the minimum of 5 before I decided to release it in my 2-month deadline, if you will. So that I've completely overestimated the number of tracks that I could make and underestimated the number of cars I could probably make. Yeah. In terms of campaign mode and multiplayer lobby, I didn't really think that I knew what to do with those. I didn't really plan for much of those, and my idea of what those were going to be changed the entire time. So I think that with my next project, when I finally am able to get back into game development, I'm going to have to plan a bit more thoroughly and think things out a bit more. But I will have time to do that, as it's probably going to be a while before I can get back into game development, as my computer's dead right now, of course. Yeah, so the planning thing, I think it went right and wrong at the same time. But considering that estimations in coding are almost never right, I consider that it went alright. It went okay. It could have been a lot worse. Yeah. Anyways, now let's cover some other stuff. So let's cover the cars and the chassis that they're built on, and if I'm quite pleased with that. So, the rally chassis itself, I don't think I set up quite firm enough. I didn't have a great idea of exactly what it was going to be. And since my game is one game with multiple places inside of it, when I did change one thing, I'd have to change it all. And since some stages had snow and some of them had mud and some of them were just tar, I couldn't just update all of the cars at the same time in a matter of a few minutes. It would take much longer, as I'd have to add scripts individually that would change how the rally cars behaved. That was a bit more of a challenge than I initially planned. Yeah. But let's cover how my menus survived throughout the game, and what I think I might want to change in the future. So, with the levels in the campaign mode, I had basically one menu and a base set of scripts and objects that I would import into each level and then modify to make it work. I think that it worked quite well. It took a bit to implement, as I did just modify the time trials menu, but it did come across quite well, in my opinion, and it was quite easy to go from one level to another and just make some slightly changes and change some values and see frame locations of the camera, and then I'd be done. So I think that went well. That was actually one thing I think went quite good. And I'm quite happy with it. I think the menu could have looked better. I think I should have spent more time on the menu, as it's kind of ugly, as in really ugly. But I think it could have been worse. But hey, I need to work on menus. I'm not really great with them. Yeah, I don't know. That's my conclusion on that. So there are two minor things that I don't really have a specific place to cover that I am unhappy with. So I'm going to cover them right now. Now, these are just minor scripting things. These don't affect actual gameplay. They're just the minor annoyances that I had. Alright, so let's start off with my choice to reset the player when you wanted to retry. I honestly dislike this, as this would kind of require me to set the respawn time to be really low on every level, and this is kind of a mess. I don't like it, and it took a lot more to implement than it probably should have. I honestly wish I could just disable resetting and have everything set up right so it teleported you to the right spawn location, but I can't really control that now, as the entire game is released and that would require a ton of reworking. That's just a minor annoyance that I had while developing. Another thing that I really dislike is the fact that I decided to switch between using blocks to set the camera location, to switch to just using cframe.new. Honestly, I wish I just set it to be cframe.new the entire time. Just create a new cframe, set it to the right one by getting the current camera. Yeah, I think that's a mess. I honestly dislike using the blocks because you don't get really an exact look as to where the camera's going to be. It requires a lot of playing with and screwing around with, and I honestly just don't like it. But setting cframe.new is much simpler, but hey, just a minor annoyance. So, while I do think that I went in a bit over my head in terms of what I was planning to do with the game, I am pleased with the final release. And I think that it's my best game so far, and I would hope it would be, as I've spent a bit longer on this game than almost any other game. Honestly, I'm pleased with it. I'll leave the link in the description, so if you want to play it, you can. There is only a computer release, and that's how it's going to be. But yeah, thank you for watching, and goodbye.